Basically, Indego Africa is a 501c3 social enterprise that partners with women in handicraft cooperatives in Rwanda. We purchase their handmade products on a fair trade basis. We then export them here to the States, and we sell them at high-end retailers and boutiques. We started selling them at art museums, the beautiful traditional basket work of Rwanda, but we've really transitioned more towards higher-end, large volume stores like Anthropologie, Nicole Miller, Ralph Lauren. That was just last year that we sell them at. But the second and equally important component of our work is we take 100% of profits from sales plus donations from foundations, from individuals, from fundraisers. We bring those back to Rwanda, and we have a staff on the ground that runs training programs for the women in business management, entrepreneurship, literacy, and IT. And so the objective, this two-part objective, first is we're wanting to, through market access, we want to get the women income that they otherwise wouldn't have been able to have, and that's obviously very critical to their lives. Then, in addition to paying for everyday things, food, water, they're able to send their children to school. They're able to do all kinds of things, invest in small projects that they otherwise wouldn't have been able to afford. And so this income part is obviously incredibly important. But the second part, which the foundation has sponsored, is also very important. We obviously do a lot to get these products to translate designs from the United States to the African sensibility, and then to help do quality control and exporting and importing and marketing and distribution and all the supply chain stuff. Obviously, Indego Africa does all of that for the women at the moment because most of them sort of had very little formal education. But it's really important to us that eventually they pick up all of those skills so that at some point in time they're dealing directly with customers here in the U.S., or at a minimum they're just doing some of these things themselves, becoming more independent. And there's only really through training that you're able to empower them to do that. And then secondly, a lot of them have never run a business before. Really they've been grouped in these cooperatives sort of out of solidarity with each other, but they're now finding that this is a big business for them, and they need to understand how to manage it, to do things that all of us who have run businesses are used to doing, whether it's accounting or just general management principles, having meetings, electing officers, just developing leadership, thinking long-term about how we manage our funds, is a new thing for them. So we really need to teach that from the beginning. A lot of these women, it's just as part of their lives, they haven't really thought too much beyond the next few months of their life, and now they have a business that's perpetuating, that's supporting their families. They need to think a year ahead of time, 2 years ahead of time, and that's just different for them. So it just takes a lot of training and time. And then we have some cooperatives that we started working with in 2007 who really, if you visited them, and Sunny and Barbara did, you can see this entrepreneurial spirit, this sophistication that certainly wasn't there when they started. And now there are other groups that we just started working with who are very talented at making things with their hands, but really just don't understand sort of the purpose and the functions of business, and so that needs to sort of be taught to them. Just to give you a profile of where our women were back in 2007 when we started, we do a social impact assessment, and about 76% of them were earning less than 50 cents a day. The work that Amazaji is doing really resonates with me and with Indego because most of them were carrying water for other people. That was their mode of employment. So it was walking 5 to 10 kilometers a day to the community well, filling up a couple of buckets, carrying them on their head or below, and then taking to other people, and they may have made 25 to 50 cents a day. In addition to being taxing on them physically, that's really not enough to even send kids to school a lot of times for one. So now they're earning $4 to $5 a day when they're working very hard, and that just makes all the difference in the world to them. So that's sort of where we're looking to take them and where we've taken them in the last 2 or 3 years. So I want to talk a little bit about the projects that the foundation funded last year. First there was our training program in business management and literacy, which we ran at 2 of the cooperatives. So the foundation sponsored 4 of our interns and our Rwanda operations program manager to run these training programs, to administer the curriculum. We usually teach at the co-ops at least once a week per program for 3 to 4 hours a day. And just to give you another really interesting feature of our training programs, we've actually partnered with an organization in Rwanda called Generation Rwanda, which is the top university scholarship program in Rwanda. It's dedicated exclusively to socially vulnerable youth. Most of these scholars are orphans who are supporting their entire family, but otherwise would not have been able to go to university. And Generation Rwanda, in addition to providing school fees, does training for them in English, in computers, in career development. And so as part of the career development, they're actually interning with us, and we oversee them, supervise them, and develop curriculum, but then they're the ones who are going every week and teaching the women all these different skills, most of which the students are learning, in their classes at some of the top business schools in the country. So that's another sort of very efficient feature of the support that the foundation gives us, is not only are we helping the women, but we're also providing this incredible work experience to some of the most important future leaders of Rwanda. So that's one of the things that the foundation supported last year. And then, as I've been instructed to do, I need to speak a little bit about the Volunteer Service Award winner, whose name was Ellie Kates. She worked, at the time that she received the Service Award, she'd already been working for Indego Africa for about 6 months, unpaid as a volunteer. Her specialty was in product design and English literacy. So she had been helping the women design new products, make sure their quality control was up to scratch for the export market. But then she was otherwise planning on going home, and this would have been sometime in the summer of last year. But because of the foundation's support, she ended up staying until the end of December, and she actually was on the ground for probably one of the most important things that have happened to Indego Africa since we started. Like I said, we are reaching out now to higher profile retail partners in the States, which is a very, very challenging endeavor. If any of you have been in this business, there are very intricate vendor requirements and quality control processes that need to be followed, and tagging and all this kind of stuff. Very, very complicated, and we really needed someone to be a production manager on the ground to help the women to really be successful. The product that we did was called a snood, which you may have heard me mention last night. It's a type of scarf, like a continuous scarf you can wear around your neck. But the women had never made this before. They never really knew what this was. They had very rudimentary knitting machines that they work on. So Ellie was responsible for making sure that came off without a hitch, which she did. We delivered on time to their quality expectations, and the product sold out in its entirety at Anthropology. Was featured in the New York Times Style magazine, which was really impressive. And now, because of that, we're working on a 10-time larger order for this winter with Anthropology. So you'll see 3 or 4 pieces this year, hopefully. So her being there was absolutely essential, and otherwise wouldn't have happened without the support of the foundation. So we're very grateful, and that's the important work that she did. Speak a little bit more about Ellie's contribution. Really getting one of these big orders under your belt and on your record, like the one we had at Anthropology last year, is really the key to opening the door to all these other places. So her contribution was incredible. But this is sort of where we're going, and we have our fingers crossed, because I think this kind of sales revenue is really the key to sustainability long-term for our organization. When we started, probably only about 25% of our budget was covered from sales revenue, and if things go as we expect this year, that number will be over 50%. So that's incredible, because any model has its challenges with funding itself, and the more that you can diversify your revenue streams, I think the better your chance at surviving in the long term, which is important for the people you support. And so to have a mixture of revenue from individuals, from foundations, from sales revenue of companies, it's very, very important to us. And I think we're making a real change in the entire marketplace. If any of you, have young children or yourself in this demographic, that between the ages of sort of 15 and 30, this group of buyers is really concerned with the social component of the things that they buy. So, this is a new realization that a lot of these companies are having. You'd be surprised at how few of them are not aware that that's such an important criteria. But I think some of these previous orders really proven to them that people are willing to pay even just a shade more to know that on their product, which you could see from ours, there's the name of the artisan, the person who made it. You can look that woman's name up on our website, see her story, see a photo of her. They know that this product is going towards an important cause, and it looks just like any other product in the store. And so I think, you know, this is a real future for retailing that I think a lot of these companies are seeing.